and I got to go out there and get a job, that's not illegal, maybe out of my comfort zone and shit, because just like Lauren said, there's people depending on me now, right? So now I'm being forced to be accountable, and that's scary. Leadership is scary. That's why you have some people even in corporate world that know more about the job than everybody on the floor, but don't even apply for the leadership spot. And you'll be like, damn, you don't want to? Yeah, I'm apply for it one day. I'm apply for it one day. But again, applying for that is uncomfortable because now you have new responsibilities. Now you can't hide in that corner no more and just come in your cubicle, do your job, and go home at exceptional pay and good. No. Now you got to answer for people under you not doing their job, and you have to have uncomfortable conversations and deal with different confrontations and shit like that. Like leadership itself is uncomfortable. I'm reading the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. He talking about slavery and different things like that, and once the slaves got freed, right? Just like Lauren just said, everybody want freedom. We ask for freedom. If I had freedom, I'd do this, I do this, I do that. Fact is, slaves got freed, stayed right there on the plantation, didn't go nowhere. Now, now part of it was, again, just like Tan was saying, the opportunities were, in terms, they wasn't the most pleasant, they wasn't the most fair in terms of us going out and establishing what it is that we wanted to establish. But same time, I think it was, mental as well. There's just like that example where, they have the fence with 1,000 sheep in it, and these sheep have been in this fence for 5 years, and they grew up in this fence. They're doing everything in this confined space, and then one day the farmer came out and cut off the whole fence, every part of the fence except the front door, and the sheep stayed within that same confined space. Why? Because it's safe, because it's comfortable, and because my outcome, I could throw it on somebody else. Prison, same way. That's why so many people go back to prison. You had dudes that be in prison 10 years, 12 years. Man, when I get free, bro, I'm gonna do this, because you talking to them. I got uncles and aunties and cousins and say, yeah, but when I get out, man, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But then it comes time for that release date, and they get a bit nervous all of a sudden, or they'll come out and realize, damn, like it's a lot of responsibility being free. This kid that I was writing letters to and shit. Oh wait, now I'm in charge of taking care of them daily, and I got to go out there and get a job. That's not illegal, maybe out of my comfort zone and shit, because just like Lauren said, there's people depending on me now, right? So now I'm being forced to be accountable, and that's scary. Leadership is scary. That's why you have some people even in corporate world that know more about the job than everybody on the floor, but don't even apply for the leadership spot. And you'll be like, damn, you don't want to? Yeah, I'm apply for it one day. I'm apply for it one day. But again, applying for that is uncomfortable because now you have new responsibilities. Now you can't hide in that corner no more and just come in your cubicle, do your job, and go home at exceptional pay and good. No. Now you got to answer for people under you not doing their job, and you have to have uncomfortable conversations and deal with different confrontations and shit like that. Like leadership itself is uncomfortable. So just like Lauren said, people will ask for freedom all day long, but you give it to them, and you'll see a chaotic result more times than not. Because the fact is, most people just aren't built to lead. Sad as that is.
But then you do a disservice to yourself because you're not living up to your full potential. So we got to get out of that mentality.
True. And then the other thing too with the freedom and what you were talking about in terms of slavery as well, you're right in terms of, they stayed at, the masters, but the other part of that is recognizing that freedom, just because if you have freedom but you don't have resources, is difficult too, because that was the whole purpose of after the Civil War, in which they had initially promised the 40 acres a mule, because that would have been an opportunity to have true, freedom and autonomy, because you have access to land, to get money, to make, to get food and things like that. And so that didn't happen. So in a sense, you were still forced to continue to do what you were doing in order to have access to basic needs. Now, coming from that situation, when now in more modern times, I think kind of like that mindset is still the same thing. We have the freedom there, but many people are lacking the resources to know how to operate within that freedom. And so I think in order for us to do better, it's about providing that access in order to get yourself out of, whatever conditions, whatever environment that you're in. But as we know, there's a benefit to keeping certain people where they're at, you
But
know.
see, but see, Miss Taker, my only pushback to that would be, and you're right, especially in our community, resources are not there. But you know what is there? Skill set. And if you have skill set, you can create resources, right? We know that just from looking around. But even going back to them slavery days that we was talking about, Joe Bob been on that plantation doing carpentry for 30 years. He has a skill set. So we can get out here and, again, now that I'm free, I can go about and start my own carpentry, especially back then compared to now. You didn't have to go through the legal documents and situation. We could literally go cross town on a plot of land, small ass house. Hey, you need carpentry done? Come on through. I take care of you. But again, it goes back to that, safe. It's safe for me to work for somebody else. It's safe when the buck doesn't stop with me. That's just like why so many people in our era, especially before the pandemic. Pandemic taught us a lot about ourselves, but was scared to be entrepreneurs, scared to leave that job that they've been at 10 years and didn't feel valued and wasn't getting promoted like they should be and all of that. But throughout them with that whole 10 years, you know what they developed? Skill set. But you was doing accounting. I know how to do accounting now. Whether it's, whatever it was, teaching, I know how to teach now. Babysitting, daycares, I know how to do that now. So the pandemic kind of forced people out of their comfort zone. You know what? You don't want to leave this job. Now you have to. Now go figure it out. And what happened? We've seen the most upstarted businesses that we've ever seen in our history. People that start businesses where they online, doing all kind of stuff, whether it's daycare, whether it's, teaching, courses, different things. We got a lot of people in this space that got courses and shit that that I don't really feel like it's qualified to teach them. But they have courses in which they are making money. So my only point and my only pushback to that would be if you have a skill set, you can get to resources. It's just about having that work ethic and about having that drive to go do it. And more importantly, not being scared to step out there and lead, not being scared to step out there and say, hey, this shit is going to rise or fall on my shoulders. So I think that's what we got to get out of the way of more so than not. But black folks are the most skilled people. I mean, come on, man. Like just in terms of culture, in terms of everything that we attempt to do, we do it the best. But it's just we got to get out of our own mental space and understand that we are skilled and we are talented and go out there and start that side business. You may not start out making 6 figures, but again, keep at it. You look up 5 years from now, you done built a $300,000 a year business, and now you don't got to work for nobody else no more. But you never thought you could do it until you was forced to. So that's why people can say what they want about that pandemic, but that pandemic taught us a lot about us, and we need to. And if we don't take nothing else from that, we need to take the fact that we don't need them. We don't. That's just that.
So why? Okay, so let anybody last.
I just gonna put a little history lesson together. Now, after slavery happened, a lot of the slaves did not stay on the plantation. They actually began to use the skill sets that they had, and they built businesses. And so what the government did was create the Freedmen Bank, right? Because there was money that was needing to, black people, they needed to put their money somewhere. And so as a result, they was building this wealth. And they was working for themselves. I mean, there was a barber who had like multiple barber shops of black people working in them, and the governors was coming in, and senators was coming in, white dudes coming in to get their hair and stuff cut. So that was that case after slavery. And so not only that, what ended up happening was that's why they created the Jim Crow laws, because black people were doing so well right after slavery. Right. And there was 11 senators. I looked at it. I think that's correct. It was 11 black senators after slavery. So there was a mindset to say, like, we're free, so we got to go do something with this. But what ended up happening, the government turned over and said, nah, they doing too much, and we're losing money as slave owners. Right. And so that was why then you transitioned to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and several other. Yeah, stop that, Shantae. You don't like what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So That's where you had the Tulsa, Oklahoma situation where black people, it was a whole community, right? The Black Wall Street. And as a result of them taking, it's once again, white people being upset about the fact that black people are doing well, and they burn it down, right? So it's not that they did not have resources or didn't want to do it. They actually did it, but at the same time, the government was against them, right? Now we have some of that situation now, but not as much because we have more money now. It's just the mentality that is going on with the money that we have. It's not investing. Like Wednesday, I went to a networking event where black developers were here in Dallas, right? Over on Southside Lamar, right? And it was like 60 black developers in the room at least, right? There was women and men that worked at banks. And what they did in this room was the lady that was over it, shout out to Maggie, I can't think of her last name, maybe Maggie Parker, something like that. What she did was she got banks to give money to her so that she could have an opportunity to allow the developers to come to her and get those resources to build. Right. So that's one person making a major difference and seeing a gap that needed to be taken care of. And I think that's what's not happening enough. Right. So that was just a quick history lesson.